on this, I mean, you were skinned up head to toe. They brought in a ton of sand, plowed it up real deep, made some changes to let it flow a little bit better, allow for multiple lines. Riders can kind of get in and make passes and mix it up, and it's just a lot better than it used to be that way.
Well, we're looking at our Honda starting grid here, and the 32nd board is up. That means racing is going to be happening here pretty quickly. Dead center of the screen, the number 4, Ricky Carmichael. Most, if not all, the eyes are focused on him, and he typically gets such great starts. He launches out through the middle of the pack again and takes the whole shot. First man into turn number 1 is the number 4.
Carmichael gets the Racer X whole shot award.
But
he goes down.
Oh, man. And look out, this is the freeway in rush hour, and with all the respect everybody has, they don't want to run over Ricky, but now it's going to be Chad Reed who's the leader on his Yamaha.
I'll tell you, he's the loneliest man in the world laying there in the middle of the track with 39 guys coming at him, and that is not a good feeling. He did have the bike between himself and the rest of the pack. That's a little bit more comforting, but he's got a lot of work to do now.
So now it is Chad Reed out in front with Robbie Raynard out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma on his Honda CRF 450. Here's Ricky Carmichael. We're used to seeing him out front by a margin of this magnitude, but now he's going to be chasing the tail end of the field, of course making a lot of passes, and that puts himself at risk. Take another look at what happened here. We saw him get the whole shot, then why did he crash?
Well, the dirt's a little bit wet. They've had some drizzle on and off here all morning, and you can just see the front end just goes out from under him, catches a bump, pops him back over, and that's it. You're not saving that one.
Couldn't quite use Chad Reed for enough of a berm to bounce off of him. He did almost make contact tire to tire there, but yes, that was pretty much a solo crash by Ricky Carmichael, a man who doesn't do that very often, especially on the start. So he got a great start and turned it into a big problem here for the rest of this Moto number 1. Ricky Carmichael certainly will not win Moto 1 here today. Chad Reed out in front trying to hold off the rest.
Yeah, Chad Reed's got a great opportunity here. You know, Ricky's coming from so far back, and this is not the race you want to be doing that. With the wet conditions, your goggles are going to go away quick. I mean, they can put as many as 24 tear-offs on, but, you know, you're going to go through those coming to that many riders.
And so with James Bubba Stewart back in 5th position, Reed getting a little wild there as he tries to hang on to the lead. Probably, oh, we got off the track even and lost the number 1 spot. Went right over the fence, had to come back on course, and now it's Raynard who's out in front.
I don't remember the last time Robbie Renard led a national, but 10 years ago, this guy was a can't-miss kid. You know, he was the next big thing. And injuries, bad luck, they plagued him. But here he is leading the national.
So Robbie Raynard, if you want to say it like that, I'll go with you there, David Pingree. Here is the leader with Chad Reed in 2nd. Bubba Stewart, a glimpse of him up to 3rd position right now, and he's right behind Chad Reed. So maybe Raynard is going to enjoy that lead for a little while the 2 guys behind him battle it out.
This is a great opportunity for Chad to check out. You know, he's got both Ricky and Stewart behind him, and if he can get a little bit of a lead and sort of push his pace, he could get a moto win here.
Take another look at what happened to Chad Reed, who got a little wild there and couldn't collect it back up altogether. Riding the front tire, nice job. But of course, control is an issue. Gets into a deep rut, spits him right up out of there.
Yeah, he's lucky he didn't go down there. That was a great save. And it's just a good thing he didn't hit the dirt.
And the bulldozer that's there for track maintenance makes the turn, comes back in. And Raynard probably had eyes as big as saucers when the number 22 came launching back over the fence onto the racetrack.
Yeah, and he got lucky he didn't get banners put in his wheel. That'll take your brakes out immediately. So Chad dodged a bullet there.
Robbie Raynard on the number 17 Honda out in front. Here comes Reed with Bubba Stewart. James on the number 7 Kawasaki coming inside. Can't make the pass there. In fact, stalled it. Wow, we're seeing all kinds of strange things going on here among the best riders in the world.
Well, this is Chad Reed's race to lose now. I mean, that having these guys that far back, there's no reason he can't just check out. This is his race to win. And trying to get these Kawasaki KX450s or any of those big 4-strokes started again is not as easy as it used to be with the old 2-stroke machines, in spite of all the manufacturers' efforts to make them a little bit easier to refire. So here comes James Stewart now trying to make his way through traffic. And of course, the question at this point is, where's Ricky Carmichael? He's got to be threading his way about halfway up through the field at this point. Yeah, he's tearing tear-offs like a crazy man and working his way up. There you see him. He's right up to the back of Stewart. Those two are going to connect here soon, I'm sure, and work their way to the front of the pack. Used to seeing them battle for the lead. Right now, we're going to be watching both Ricky Carmichael and James Bubba Stewart battling for position. They're coming up behind Ryan Mills on the number 40 machine. Take a look at our Toyota leaderboard while we take a short break. Progressive.
Back to the action now with Robbie Reynard being challenged by Chad Reed on the number 22 machine. James Bubba Stewart and Ricky Carmichael having their own battle deep in the field, trying to get to where these guys are. But Reynard looks like he might be vulnerable now, and Reed's on a tear.
Yeah, Renard, you know, he's got pressure, a lot of pressure right now. That'll make you pump up so fast. I'm sure his forearms are like rocks right now. And there Reed slips by. And this is definitely Chad Reed's chance to put some real estate between himself, Stewart, and Carmichael. And if he wants to win this moto, he's got to gap himself now. This is a great opportunity.
Chad Reed sliding past Robbie Reynard on the number 17 Honda. So Reed Yamaha is out in front. The Kawasaki and Suzuki of James Bubba Stewart and Ricky Carmichael much further back. And indeed, here is Chad Reed's opportunity. If he can just settle in, put some good steady turns together, doesn't have to be spectacular, just has to be error-free at this point. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. You know, he's just got to put in good, solid laps. You have to be patient in this kind of weather, you know. Ooh, Ricky chopped somebody a little bit right
Ricky
there.
going by the number 198, Jacob Saylor out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And I guess Saylor perhaps a little startled by it. Looked like he tipped over. But here goes Ricky Carmichael on the number 4. Up front, it's Chad Reed. Reynard staying close.
When your pace is that much faster, you like Ricky's is, it's hard to go by guys that are going slower. You can't really judge their speed. And not that I've ever had that problem going that much faster than other people, but sometimes he'll clip guys who won't even know it.
Well, David, if I was out there, you'd be going that much faster than me. Here comes Chad Reed, going past all the FMF banners there, leaping down the hill, makes a hard left turn, trying to find a smooth line. Even though this is the very first moto, there's been a lot of practice going on out there, and ruts, huge ruts and big bumps are already well developed.
Yeah, this is huge for Chad Reed. You know, he's in the process of putting together his deal for next year. Doesn't have anything signed yet, still looking for a manufacturer. If he can come out and get a national, even a moto win, I mean, that's huge for him. He didn't get the Supercross title that he wanted, lost it to Ricky there in a nail-biter in Vegas, and this would do great things for his season, his future, his confidence. Be good to see him do well.
So James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael now nose to tail, 9th and 10th positions respectively, each trying to pick their way through the field as cleanly as possible, not make another mistake, because points are so important. Your position in moto number 1 combined with your position moto number 2 is what determines your overall. You can give up a little bit of a race here, but you got to get all the points you can. That's
right. You know, if you look at the Supercross series and the way that finished, the top 3 guys were separated by only 2 points at the end of the year. I mean, that just goes to show you every single rider counts. Every guy you get by, the difference between, especially when you get into the top 5 and points are separated by 2 or 3 points per position, it's so critical that you get every rider you can.
Heath Voss losing a spot there to Carmichael as we go back to Robbie Reynard, who has now lost a position to David Vuillemin. Vuillemin, by the way, notably the last rider to lead a motocross championship, and that was in 2001. Since then, it's been all Ricky Carmichael at the top of the table, and a tremendous reign he has had. So Vuillemin now in the number 2 spot behind fellow Yamaha rider Chad Reed, and now it is Reynard into 3rd.
Yeah, David Vuillemin's doing great here. This is good to see him up at the front. You know, he had a troubled Supercross season with the Buku Honda team. They parted ways amicably, but now he had to find something else, something to come out and prove that he still had the talent to run up front. So he put something together with the Moto World Yamaha team, Paul Lindsay, and he likes this track. He's won here in 2000 and likes the mud. He's from France where it rains a lot, and he's going to be a contender all day, I think, in these conditions.
James Stewart watching the spectacular style of the Kawasaki rider. He moves inside K-Dub. Kevin Windham losing a position now to Stewart, as we saw Heath Voss lose a spot to Carmichael a while ago. So James Stewart also trying to do the same thing, just stay error-free. He's already made his 1 mistake. Can't make another one at this point in the race. Just give up too many positions.
Windham looks like he's a little off the pace. His lap times in practice were a little off, but it'll be interesting to see if he can latch onto the back of James or Ricky and follow those guys to the front. You know, Kevin obviously has the talent and speed to do it. Maybe he's just not quite as comfortable yet, but a lot of times you can latch onto the back of another guy that's going quicker, follow his lines, and just sort of imitate what he's doing and pick your lap times up a couple seconds.
Carmichael going past Windham as well now, so we'll see if the number 14 Honda can hang in there with both James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael now. We get a glimpse there of the number 144 Kyle Partridge out of Las Vegas. Back to Ricky Carmichael on the number 4, following James Stewart. Different line right there. A little bit different drive off the corner and up the hill. Stewart with 1 foot, then both off the pegs. And he punches the number 144 Partridge kind of out of the way and goes on by. Let's see if Kyle Partridge hangs on, whether Ricky Carmichael gets a clean line around him.
Well, it's got to almost make your head spin when those two come by you. You know, one guy bumps into you, blows you out of a line. The next guy spins you around in a circle. I wouldn't want to be Kyle Partridge right now.
Well, he's hanging in there pretty well, as both Stewart and Carmichael go past. They're working up behind Robbie Reynard now on the number 17, our early leader.
Nick Way's in there as well, top finishing privateer in the Supercross series. Nick's had a great year with the MDK team, and he's looking to continue that relationship and you know, continue to grow that team. And they've been great. They've done a lot of good things this year. In the Nationals, Nick's always been comfortable, loves the outdoors and the mud, and it'll be good to see him just keep the good results up this summer.
Nick Way on the number 27 machine. He's out of Michigan, also riding a Honda. There goes Stewart. There goes Carmichael, both around Nick Way. So they seem to be like the tide. You know, they're coming. They're heading up towards the front. As we take another look at our Toyota leaderboard, it's changing. Where our leader is Chad Reed on the number 22 bike, but we are watching with more than a little interest now. A battle that's developing behind him as David Villeman is coming into the clutches of both James Bubba Stewart and Ricky Carmichael. So we're seeing three of the biggest names in motocross, but they're not the leaders.
Looks like Villeman sort of took a glance over, got out of the way a little bit. I don't know if that's being courteous or just
afraid,
realizing he can't run the pace there. Those guys are going so fast. You see James get a little crooked, and Ricky diving to the inside to take advantage of it.
James looking around at Ricky Carmichael. They both came by David Villeman like he was a lapper almost. Villeman pulled over a little bit, looked at both of them. Now they're looking at each other, and they've got a real man-to-man battle going here between the green Kawasaki number 7 and the yellow Suzuki number 4.
You got to realize here too, David Villeman is not slow. He's a very, very fast rider, one of the top 5 riders in the world. And these two go around him and just absolutely check out. The pace these two have going right now is so ridiculous. It's almost impossible that they can go this fast.
So James Stewart in front right now with Ricky Carmichael right behind him. We would expect this to be a battle for the lead, but instead it is they have come up through the pack. Carmichael from dead last. James Stewart from just a spot or two in front of him. They both made mistakes. Carmichael early, Stewart a little bit later. And now they're trying to make up for the mistake that they made. Heading towards the front. They'll never get to Chad Reed. We'll never say never, I would say.
Yeah, you know, this is critical for Ricky. You can tell he's trying frantically to get around James. And here it looks like, yeah, he's trying to the inside. He's doing everything he can. His goggles, he's got to be down to his last few tear-offs. He's eating that roost, you know, being so close to James. That does not feel good. I mean, that's flying off their rear tires so fast. It's muddy. It's sticking to him. He wants to try to get by as quick as he can and get in front of him.
Like being in the line of fire at a machine gun nest, because the dirt clods coming off of there, little rocks and everything else. Here's James Stewart throwing some roost up on the crowd now, and Ricky Carmichael getting a little bit of it. Reached up there and wiped off his goggles. If he's out of tear-offs, he's going to have to use his glove. Deep ruts. Look at that, all the way up to the engine cases. Here's Chad Reed getting more than a little encouragement from the crowd. Out in front right now. He should be able to hold those two off with a good, consistent ride. One, well, I would have to say a big mistake, and they'd be on it.
Yeah, he's got a pretty huge lead right now. It's looking good for him. You know, he needs to get a moto win, and it would just help his confidence. You know, that's so key in this sport. Is just believing that you can win, believing you can beat those guys, even if it came at a crash that they had.
How much are his mechanics and helpers along the track signaling him, keeping him aware of how big a gap he has?
Oh, I'm sure all the Yamaha mechanics are keeping tabs on Ricky and James' lap times, also on Chad's lap times, letting them know the difference, letting him know his lead. It's probably shrinking a little bit, and he'll be doing the math in his head. Okay, I've got 15 minutes left in the moto or whatever. They're catching me 2 seconds a lap. You know, the pace I have is good, or I've got to pick up the pace. So believe me, they're all over there like a bunch of calculators working it out right now.
A few spots on the track. They might even be able to get a glimpse of one another here and there with all the elevation changes. It would have to be on high ground. Chad Reed climbing one of the big hills here at Hangtown. And there is the gap between him and Ricky Carmichael. It is significant, but not so bad because the laps are winding down.
And you can see Chad, when he came down that hill, he can peek straight over and see where those guys are at. So he'll be able to spot them every lap and say, all right, they're catching me this much per lap. So that's an advantage he's got. And those guys, again, Ricky's in the worst position here because he's going to lose his vision. I mean, this is, you can't eat roost for 40 minutes and still have clear vision. It just doesn't happen.
He's trying to stay on a different line to minimize the effect. Every once in a while, he'll show Stewart a wheel. Now and then, there's alongside. Carmichael makes the move. Can he make it stick? He goes around and with a great acceleration, indeed, takes the position from James Stewart. And now it's payback time with the dirt coming off the back of the 4 Suzuki. It's Stewart that's going to have to pick his lines.
You see Ricky take one little wipe at his goggles there, you know, thinking, all right, good, I'm in front of him. Now I can clean my goggles off and charge and try to catch Chad. That's what he needed to do. He had to get in front of him quick.
James Stewart will try to fight back. Had a little bit of a thought there to come on the inside. He pulls up alongside again on a very different line. But Carmichael with the inside rut is going to hold on to the advantage right now. This is for second place, amazingly enough, from dead last to runner-up in one moto.
James goes inside, tries to get a pass back.
The crowd lights up. Stewart's wheels are slightly ahead of those of Carmichael there, and now he has made the pass stick with laps, with time winding down and just a few more turns to go here. These guys have been battling in the middle of the pack, now at the front of the pack, and now for the runner-up position, the final two spots on the podium. Carmichael getting wild, comes by, but only briefly.
This is what everyone came to Hangtown to see. These two guys going at it. They're going to do this all season long, back and forth.
It is great racing, and long gone are the days of total domination. First by Jeremy McGrath. Well, we could go back further than that. Carmichael himself dominating the sport for quite some time. But in the last Supercross season, and now in motocross, it is really going to be the fans that come out the winners, no matter who crosses the line first.
The drizzle continues to come down here. You know, everyone in the crowd has umbrellas, and this track's going to continue to get slimier and slick as the rain continues to fall.
Well, they called it an 80% chance of rain, and it was already supposed to be pouring by now, but Mother Nature, with a sense of humor, has held off. And James Stewart has now left Ricky Carmichael pretty seriously behind here. And while he will not catch Chad Reed, it appears as though Carmichael is going to somewhat surrender as we look back a little bit deeper in the field.
Actually, Stewart's caught up to Chad by quite a bit here. He's cut that lead in half, I would say. There's got to be something going on. Oh, he's got no goggles on.
And no goggles for Chad Reed. We got a glimpse of him. And here he is right now on the number 22 machine. Our leader has taken his goggles off. It's good old Mother Nature's eyeballs that are battling the dirt chunks right now.
You know, that is the worst thing you can do is take your goggles off. It's almost like a cardinal rule you don't do. But sometimes when it's cooler like this, there's humidity in the air, your body starts to heat up, you'll fog the inside of your goggles, and there's nothing you can do. You just can't see out of them. Or you lose your tear-offs like Ricky did. He had to come through 39 guys. He just ran out of tear-offs, and eventually they get so dirty you can't see out of them. So it is definitely a last resort, but
last lap, look at this, and it is James Stewart right behind, getting into a little bit of traffic right now. Who would have thought that Stewart or Carmichael would catch Reed with that big of a lead? It's happened. These guys are incredible.
This is the same move he put on Ricky right here.
Up inside, makes it work. Reed tries to cross back behind the wheels, but can't do it. They're in the air together, but James Stewart has made the pass, and you get the feeling that since he caught him, he'll probably be able to pull away, too.
There's nothing Chad can do. With no goggles, he can't get up there and try to challenge him. He's got to stay out of his roost, or he'll, he could lose an eyeball. Jason
Thomas getting the move over flag by the AMA officials now as we look at Chad Reed on the way outside. Stewart trying to pick his way through traffic down low. Up in the air here, Carmichael somewhat further back, but James Stewart coming from a crash. Actually, he stalled the bike. He didn't crash, he just stalled it. Couldn't get it started for quite a while, managed to do so, came back onto the track right alongside Ricky Carmichael. The two of them battled to the front, and now Stewart appears as though he will be the winner of Moto number 1.
You know what's so impressive to me with James is he just battled back with Ricky. Usually when Ricky passes a guy, that's it, it's over. And James just wouldn't let it happen. He fought back, got him back. And, you know, that's the best way to demoralize a rider is when he gets you, pass him right back. It makes it so much harder for him to make another pass.
James Stewart winning Moto number 1. Chad Reed holds on for second. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Honda Hangtown Classic season opener for the AMA Toyota Motocross Championship by FMF. Let's take a look at our Suzuki Moto results, with James Stewart mounting the podium here, having won Moto number 1 in spectacular style. That'll bring a big cheer from the crowd. Chad Reed holding on for second. Carmichael couldn't quite get it done up there with Stewart, and we hope that you see the name of your favorite racer here as we go to Aaron Bates for a word with the winner.
James Stewart making the pass happen on the very last lap. James, you made the debut on the 450 here. You said it last year. Once you get your 450, there's going to be a whole different kind of racing going on. You proved your point exactly.
Yeah, you know, last year, you know, I struggled, but came back strong. I stalled it in the back over there, and I was like, damn, you know, got to work hard for this one, and I never gave up.
Our Racer X Illustrated Whole Shot Award. Take another look. The number 4, Ricky Carmichael, out in front long enough to pick up the prize, but then
Yeah, it almost looked like he tripped over that Racer X line there. Just lost it in that wet dirt. I'll tell you though, the face of this race would have had a completely different look had he not gone down. I think it would have been another snoozer.
So the two of them talking to one another on the podium. Chad Reed did not join us on the podium here, and let's hear from Ricky.
Ricky, you mentioned you've stated that this is going to be your last full season before you head into retirement. Do you feel that this is going to be your most challenging season yet?
It's been pretty challenging, even the Supercross. And you know what? If I do mistakes like I did out there that time, for sure it's going to make it challenging. Man, that just bums me out because I felt really good, and the rest was history after that. I just had to kind of put laps together and do the best I can to come up.